Yet another risk-averse election event, invited guests only, and Ed Balls saying no deal with the SNP, no how, no way. Because he said the SNP campaign is just a ruse to get another independence referendum on the road.
The SNP's priority has never been about ending austerity. SNP MPs aren't trying to go to Westminster to fight poverty. They want to go to Westminster to fight for another referendum. That's what the SNP are about.
Cooking is what Nicola Sturgeon, the SNP leader, usually leaves to her husband. But she was forced again to say the party is not campaigning for another referendum.
This election is not about independence, nor is it about having another referendum. And I'm saying as openly, as clearly, as unequivocally as possible, even if, and I'm not saying we will, but even if the SNP was to win every single seat in the country, that would not be a mandate for another referendum.
But back in Glasgow, Ed Balls was pushing a central Labour and indeed SNP promise, banning exploitative zero-hour contracts.
You're standing in front of a placard that says ban exploitative zero-hour contracts at an event set up by people who are on zero-hour contracts. Aren't you the hypocrite?
I think we want to live in a society where people who work decent hours and work hard can work on the same kind of contract that I work under and that you work under, and why should they settle for second best?
It comes down to what is or is not an exploitative zero-hour contract. Over in Edinburgh, passions still inflamed over the SNP's candidate for Edinburgh South, where the party could turn obscurity into victory. Over 2 years ago, and before he was a candidate, Neil Hay tweeted a link to a satirical site calling referendum no voters quislings, Nazi sympathisers. Last week there were calls in the Scottish Parliament for him to be sacked. Nicola Sturgeon has condemned it and he's apologised. Like the still thriving Yes Hub Cafe in Edinburgh South, it all shows how the referendum passions are informing and inflaming the current election. The SNP's political opponents have long alleged that the party has at its fringes a nasty, unpleasant, intolerant element to it, and not necessarily always at the fringes. They would further say that the party leadership up to and including Nicola Sturgeon herself have not dealt with this as effectively as they might. Alex Thompson, Channel 4 News, Edinburgh.
And here is a list of all the candidates standing in the Edinburgh South constituency. Take a good read. Here they are.